Hello Year 4, this is your Monday English lesson, and over the next 3 days we're going to start each English lesson with a little spelling starter. So these are actually your spellings from last week, but we're going to do a short input on them now. Obviously, if we were in school, you'd be having a spelling test, but as you're at home, you don't need to worry so much, but you could, if you wanted to, organise a spelling test at home, get one of your siblings or grown-ups to test you, and maybe you could negotiate a little reward if you do well. Hopefully you can remember which spelling group you are in. The majority of Year 4 were learning prefix anti, which means against, in opposition to or opposite of. Let's start to think about then what some of these words might mean. We're going to have a go at a little activity where you have to read a sentence and try and work out which of your spellings would go in it. So choose an anti-spelling word to finish each of these sentences. Luckily, Mr. Jonas had an cream in his first aid kit to help treat Adam's arm. Have a go at writing the word in your book. You could have a go at writing out the whole sentence if you like. Try and use your best handwriting. Treat it like a handwriting practice. Antiseptic. After the snake bite, the was administered and the traveller quickly recovered. Anti-venom. My mum always says a good for boredom is reading a book. Antidote. The astronauts' clothing helped them to achieve a successful spacewalk. Anti-gravity. Although the advert claimed that the new worked all day, the rugby player found it not to be true. Antiperspirant. Learning about behaviour such as littering and graffiti has really helped the children in Class 4 care for their school and local community more. Antisocial. Maxwell, a scientist from a skin research centre, was quite certain that he had created a cream with effects. Anti-aging. Is selling out fast at garages and shops due to the freezing conditions, the article in the local newspaper warned. Antifreeze. Doc yelled over, "Marty, look, the hands on the town clock are going anti-clockwise." When Derek was ill, he had to take some medicine. Antibiotic. Now, as we would in school, have a go at practicing your spellings using some of these ways. You all know how to do rainbow words, pyramid writing. You could have a go at doing 3D words. You could write an acrostic poem. You could use bubble words. All sorts of different ways here. You could have a go at writing some silly sentences. Anything that's going to help you to try and remember the spelling of these new words. Remember, you could do a little bit every day this week and then think about testing yourself at some point. Watch me now have a go at doing some handwriting practice of these words. You could have a go at home on just a piece of paper. Okay, so I'm just going to model to you some handwriting of our spellings for this week using the prefix anti. So have a go on just some lined paper if you can't find this sheet in your pack. Have a go at writing each of these words a couple of times. It really helps you to remember how to spell them. It's tricky for me even. I need to have a think about how to spell some of these words. Try and keep your pen on the paper the whole time. Don't bring it up. Remember to take your ascenders up, and if there are any descenders, remember to go down, and then you go back at the end to cross any letters and dot any letters. Well done, Year 4, fantastic spelling practice. We're now going to move on to the rest of our lesson, which goes back to our work on the guide on how to look after your lost thing. So today's lesson is all about taking all of those bits that we've been working on over the last couple of weeks and putting them together to make our guide on how to look after our lost thing. So I've collected together all the things I'm going to need in front of me to help me. I've got my plan that I wrote last week to remind me of all the things I want to put in each section. I've got the example guide about the bearded dragon with the highlighted features to remind me of the things that I want to try and put into each section. And I've got my boxed up plan so that I can tick off or highlight the things as I remember to put them in my guide. And this is like my success criteria. So this is like my checklist to check that I don't forget to leave anything out. I also need to remember those basic things whenever I'm writing. I need to remember to use my capital letters at the beginning of sentences and for proper nouns. I need to make sure I remember to put a full stop at the end of my sentences. And I need to try and use a variety of punctuation through my sentences, like commas, question marks for questions, exclamation marks when they're needed, maybe a semicolon or a colon for a list. I need to check my spelling, maybe at the end or as I go. I could ask a grown-up for some help. I need to read my work back after I've written each paragraph to check it makes sense. And I need to think about using paragraphs as I write. Okay, so we need some kind of introduction to our guide so that our reader knows what is coming, what the information is going to be all about. So I've had a go at modelling one here on the board to you, which I'm going to read out to you now. So you need to put your title, a guide on how to look after a, and whatever your lost thing is called. Hopefully you know the name of your lost thing. And then you need to write something similar to this. You could write it the same as me and just edit it for your particular lost thing. Okay, that's absolutely fine. So it's like your introduction, really. Read on for a useful info-packed guide on how to best care for your, and then you need to put the name of your lost thing in there. This extremely friendly, helpful lost thing is an essential addition to any home, bringing you hours of fun and good company. Just follow these simple suggestions and your lost thing will be forever grateful. Okay, so you can see I've organised my workspace, so I've got everything that I need. And I've made a start on my guide already. Now, this is going to take you 3 days to write, so don't feel you've got to write all of this today. And also, it's very much about going back through your book, finding all the bits that you've already written over the last couple of weeks and putting them together. So already on my guide, and it's up to you, you can either handwrite it or if you want, you can type your work. So on my guide, I put my title, I've put my introduction that I just showed you in the previous bit of the video. And then I've put my subheading, typical appearance, and I've copied out what I wrote in my Thursday lesson last week with Mrs. Keeley. Okay, so that's the typical appearance of your lost thing. I've then put my subheading of purpose, and that's the bit that I now need to move on to. Okay, but I'm not starting from scratch. Remember, I've got my plan to refer back to. So purpose, to provide care for others and to collect treasure. So I've already planned what I want to put in that bit. And if I look back at my technical language that I wrote a couple of weeks ago, okay, I've got some really good ideas here already of things that I have put. So I'm going to use that, and then I'm going to improve it, and I'm going to make it even better. Okay, so I've spent 5 minutes writing about my purpose of my lost thing, and I'm going to read it to you now, and you will notice a few differences from what I wrote the other week when I was doing my technical language lesson, but not that much. Purpose: to provide vigilant care for others whilst tidying and collating treasure, litter, on its way. This unusual creature has 2 chimer bells 24/7 of German origin that work tirelessly to locate individuals who require care. This is the main purpose of the lost thing, whose ring can be heard from miles around. Its secondary purpose is as a treasure collector, using its useful feature of the pincer grippers to allow it to collect its treasures on its travels, storing them in its many drawers and compartments until it arrives home. I was really happy with the way I wrote the diet section last time, so I haven't changed it at all. I've literally just copied it up. This lost thing requires a strict diet of LED lighting, found in most local supermarkets. Its favourite treat is by far Christmas string lights of multiple colours. Be sure to add in some high-density oil into the top cover at least once a week. This will aid digestion and keep its cogs, gears and internal mechanisms of wheels well oiled. The occasional spray of WD-40 will also keep this lost thing in prime condition. So don't feel you have to change your writing if you're really happy with it. Just copy it up. So I'm just going to spend some time now checking my plan and checking my boxed up plan that I have kept on track, and I've been writing about the things that I plan to write. So I've done typical appearance, so I can tick that off. I've told everyone what my lost thing looks like. I've wrote about its purpose, so I can tick that off. And I've wrote about its diet. Okay, so you can already see where I'm going tomorrow. We're going to be looking at writing the next bit of our guide, which will be habitat, how to care for them and keep them happy, where to return them if found, and our funny facts, which we've already written. So here's all of my writing so far for my guide. I'm really proud of myself. I've managed to write loads. I mean, we are talking about 2 weeks worth of work here, so I'm not surprised I've got so much writing. Don't worry if you haven't got as much as me. This is obviously what we're aiming for, but if you've typed yours up on the computer, it might look smaller. I've obviously handwritten mine. Okay, so now I'm going to spend some time with my highlighter pen, or it could just be a colour pencil or a felt tip, and I'm going to tick off or highlight the things that I have remembered to do. This will show me the things that I've forgotten to do so far, so I can remember to include those in my writing tomorrow. Okay, so I've had a read through my writing and I've got my highlighter out and I've had a look at the things that I think I have managed to do so far. So I've definitely used some headings and some subheadings to organise, as well as paragraphing, and I've highlighted the ones that I've done so far. I've also used lots of technical language, especially when I was talking about the diet of the lost thing. And I've used quite a few emotive noun phrases, especially in my introduction and in my purpose, to draw my reader in and hopefully make them want to look after my lost thing. The thing I'm missing is my imperative verbs, but I know that's going to come in tomorrow. I went and dug out my writing from the other day about imperative verbs, and I've just reminded myself of some of the sentences I want to use tomorrow when I write my habitat and how to care for them, because I've got my imperative verbs, so I must remember to put those in tomorrow. And also, I know that my bullet points and my sentence openers are coming when I write my funny facts, which, if you can cast your mind back to a couple of weeks ago, we've already written those and they'll be coming at the end of our guide. So I feel like I'm on track. After the first day of writing, I've probably got about half of the things ticked off. So I'm really pleased with myself. Hope you are too.